May I enter, sir?
Please.
Right.
Thank you. Yogesh,
Yes, sir.
you come from Pinjore?
Sir, Panchkula, sir. My father settled in Panchkula, sir.
Panchkula, okay. There's a station Pinjore nearby, right?
Yes, sir.
You remember we had a very famous unit of HMT in Pinjore.
Yes, sir.
It failed.
Yes, sir.
Why do government organizations fail normally? The PSUs like HMT and many other. And the private do not fail that easily as government fail. What are the reasons?
So the failure of PSCs could be attributed to two reasons that I can think of right now, sir. One, there could be inefficiencies in the setup, sir. For example, production, supply, those elements, sir. Two, it is possible that regulatory environment changes, allowing for more private competition into the market, leading to sudden decline in the demand for that product. I think which was broadly the reason why HMT factory failed or did not perform up to the level that it should have, sir. However, sir, beyond these two reasons, I think the failure of private businesses in India also happened pretty rampantly, I think, in the 60s, and the 70s, and the 80s. So I think it's a part of natural rejuvenation of business enterprises that happens every 20 to 30 years because of the changing demands and requirements of the markets.
But that's the reason of failure of any organization, private or government. Why do government fail? Government organizations fail. My question was, why do government organizations fail so easily?
Yes, sir. So to be specific, one of the reasons often attributed is inefficiencies because of the employees that serve are not driven by profit motive. It doesn't compete as well with the outside market, sir.
Okay. You are a lawyer by profession, LLB, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me when you have to do something, there is a goal. You have to achieve that thing. That goal is important, or means of achieving that goal are important.
So I think both of them have a role to play in any endeavor, sir.
Both are important. In a legal profession, what is important, the goal or the means? And when a lawyer represents a case, a person has committed murder, and lawyer knows it, that he has done it. In that case, he represents him in the courts of law. Then at that point, what is important, the goal or the means?
So the fair procedure is the edifice upon which the legal profession or any constitutional regime is based, sir. You can hang a person who's committed murder, but if the society at large feels that the process was not transparent, the entire judicial system would come under scrutiny, sir. So, sir, means are important. However, sir, in the service of means, it cannot be the case that the goal is also completely sidelined, sir. I think both have a role to play, sir.
But that is a general statement. In the legal profession, what is the job of a lawyer? That his client somehow should win?
Yes, sir.
Somehow, right?
Within the means.
By producing false evidences, by threatening the witnesses, concocting false stories. All these are done, then only the client wins, even after committing murder. So in this case, means have no value.
So, lawyers or advocates or litigants in court, sir, are free to choose the methods that they deem fit within the confines of law, sir, not beyond the confines of law. Within the confines, any argument that's made by a lawyer is legitimate, provided the judge in that court allows that argument to stay, sir.
Even if that argument is a false story.
So, falsehood or truthfulness in a court of law is not the same as truthfulness or falsehood in society at large, sir.
No society, we're not talking about society. The lawyer knows that my client has committed murder. And he creates a story that this person was not there on that day. Some story he makes proves that this person is not involved. He tries to prove to the court, judge. Then means I've gone haywire.
So, it's a two-part answer that I'd like to take, sir. So let us say a lawyer or a litigant is concocting a fake alibi, sir. Then, sir, that alibi, the lawyer would not himself have to say it. He would make the client say it. on count of which he could be perjured, sir, for making false statements, sir. So that itself might not be the issue. I think the issue would be the tactics that lawyers sometimes use to delay the inevitable result of a litigation, which might not be in the spirit of the law, sir. The stories that they make up every now and then are mostly caught by the judges, sir. And there are penal consequences also for advocates. But so I guess the much of the issues that arise come from unfair means that are deployed by advocates in when a matter is listed, against which judge a matter is listed, how many postponements, how many adjournments does a matter get, sir. I think that's where the unfair means come into the picture, sir.
Okay. You have studied from, I think, the best institutes of law in the country, NLS Bangalore, right? Why you did not pursue the law as a profession? You went for management training, not the law training. Law trainees are also there in these organizations. Any specific reason?
Sir, I was part of the corporate legal management training branch in ICISI Corporate Limited, sir. Sir, I think the question that I asked myself, I think because it's a valid question as to why I didn't practice, which was the primary purpose of setting up legal institutions as such, sir. It's there in the charter itself of most colleges that the judiciary needs to be equipped with better lawyers, sir. Of that, sir, I think initially, sir, once, sir, I was worried that without a pedigree, without some backing or a family level, I would not be able to make it in the courts, which I think many of my batchmates themselves have proven to be wrong, sir. Two, sir, I always wanted to work on the field, to be engaged in a village somewhere, to be among the people, find some work that I could do there, sir. So that was always an inclination that I had, sir. And it's not that I completely rejected legal profession, sir. I have 6 months of working in ICISI corporate legal, then I moved on to another legal role, sir, in association of Billion Minds, sir. So it's not that I've cut off myself from the legal profession altogether, sir.
Anyone in your family in civil services, IAS, IPS, etc.?
No, sir.
So again, the pedigree is not there for the civil services.
Yes, sir.
For the same reason, you are trying to enter the civil services.
So what I looked at was the success rate, sir. So for example, up till 2013, for which I had the data when I had to make the choice in 2016, lawyers without a family backing on an average took more time, much more time than lawyers with some backing. Whereas in the civil services, sir, what I felt,
anybody can do it.
People who have qualified, anyone can sort of do a decent job, sir.
Okay. We have very good relations with Russia. Russia has very good relations with China. We do not have good relations with China. On what basis do we have the relations? The countries have relations with each other. What basis?
Yes, sir. Sir, I think the Asian power equations are always sort of bilateral in nature, sir. I think Russia's invasion in Ukraine has pushed Russia closer to China, and the traditional divide that there was there between Russia and China that India mostly relied upon. I could hear Indian diplomats after retirement always making a statement or two saying there are fault lines there between Russia and China that we could exploit. But I think those fault lines have become difficult to exploit, sir. And there is a natural movement away from Russia, sir, to an extent, sir. For example, how much business we do, whom do we depend upon for Security Council vetoes, whom do we depend upon for military supply. There's a natural movement away. So I think, yes, sir, all those relationships with Russia as well as China I think are going to become more and more complicated in the future, sir.
You said when Russia was not friendly with China, it was good for us that time. Now, there are two scenarios. Russia being friendly with China or Russia being not friendly with China. Which one is more suitable to us?
Sir, I think it would be favorable for India if this all-weather partnership, I think ties with no limits or something that the Honorable President of Russia described it. If that is a little less, if there's more fault lines there, sir, it would be easier for New Delhi to play Moscow against Beijing and vice versa. But if this alliance strengthens, sir, then Russia might be reduced to a satellite state of China, or if not a satellite state, at least a dependency, sir.
We are not talking about Russia. What happens to Russia? I gave you two situations. Russia friendly with China, Russia not friendly with China. Which one is better for us? For example, When we have enemies are friend. Enemy's enemy is a friend. That's a theory, no? So which is better for us? They become friendly, not become friendly.
So them not being friendly is favorable to us, sir.
Not being friendly, so enemy is enemy.
Yes, sir. I could also draw from the Mandala theory of Kautilya, sir, that Parimitra, sir. So he would be Ari Mitra, sir, the the friend of the enemy, sir. So he would be one circle down the line, sir. So that by that logic also, Russia is a natural ally for India, and it's a natural enemy of the Chinese. Sir.
One last observation: if you think Russia enmity with China is better for us, you make China a bigger enemy. Who will support us in Security Council? At least now, if Russia is friendly with China, we can tell Russia, please tell this fellow not to oppose us. Please tell this fellow. So it's better for us.
So, yes, sir. There have been arguments made that that Moscow could use its influence to get Beijing in line, sir. However, sir, to my limited understanding, sir, I think the balance of power always works in the favor of the more strengthened party, sir. I think there are limitations to how much Moscow can influence Beijing, at least. Yes, sir.
Limitations are always there. But we can tell at least Russia, tell this fellow, please don't interfere with us. Tell this fellow, your friend China, tell him. No.
Yes, sir. In the current scenario, I would wonder how much for example, now that their ties are rather strong, sir, I wonder how much the Chinese are listening to Moscow in terms of their engagement with us.
That's different. Okay. What is the latest from Pakistan elections and how it is going to affect our relations with Pakistan?
Yes, sir. So I was just checking the results because it's a developing story. I think none of the parties haven't been able to arrive at some sort of a majority. I think most likely it's going to be a coalition government between PML Nawaz and the People's Party, sir. And I think if this coalition stays, which it's unlikely, sir, it's an untenable coalition in my limited understanding, sir. But if this coalition stays, sir, I think we might see some overtures from Pakistan, sir. I'm not sure where and how, but some overtures I think are likely because I think Asim Munir has made it clear that economy is as important to him as strategic situation. I think there's a broad realization in the Pakistani elite that they've lost a lot of capital, that have lost a lot of strategic capital over the past 10 years because of their relative economic decline, sir. So I'm expecting some overtures, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Coming back to your, since you've done law from a very premier institute and you're not going for the normal practice, primarily law is basically meant to be practiced in the open court. So what do you think is the maxim that is our jurisprudence is based? Especially the criminal law, criminal justice system.
So, could you please repeat the question?
No, what is the basic principle on which our criminal jurisprudence works in our country?
So, providing of, sir, I could not isolate one such principle, sir. If I could name a few, sir, that I can think of. Sir, justice, equity, and good conscience, sir, has been a long-held principle that was sort of borrowed from the English for civil law, but also applied in criminal matters mostly, sir. Two, sir, a fair trial. There are articles enshrined in the Constitution, for example, against double jeopardy, against self-incrimination. So those articles form a fair principle, sir. And then, sir, I think principles of natural justice that apply to all matters.
What is principle of natural justice?
So how we were taught about principles of natural justice is forget that there's a constitutional setup. And if you have to decide between two individuals, what principles would you come up with?
Natural justice is that you kill my father, I'll kill your father. Is it the natural justice? That was also at some point of time, that was kind of justice that was prevalent.
Indeed, sir. There have principles of natural justice, the three principles, have faced criticism from people arguing that these principles keep changing according to the territory. For example, principles of natural justice in Saudi Arabia, for example, the tribal society that was Saudi Arabia might be completely different from principles of natural justice here, sir. But, sir, I think we've been lucky that way. that some of the principles of natural justice as encoded in our legal system are better, sir, are more towards...
No, I just want to know what do you mean by natural justice? Anyway, but we'll come to this thing later. To my understanding, the basic principle of our criminal justice system is let 1,000 criminals get scot-free, but not one innocent person should be convicted.
Yes, sir.
Am I right?
Yes, sir. Indeed.
So only on the basis of, I was hearing your argument very intently. So our, your objection is, and there are only 3 principles of argument in the court. And we have a set of precedents, we have the law, well-documented law. You are a better student of law, I'm sure. So, but if the facts are in your favor, you hammer the facts. If law is in your favor, you hammer the law. So to answer to my senior colleagues' response, your goal is to get justice, not only justice, to get him acquitted. Even if you feel that he is, I'm nobody to judge whether he is guilty or not.
Yes, sir.
But I have to prove him that he is not guilty. And idea is to pick holes in the prosecution case, make it less less probable that this person would have been committed offense, unless until the punishment is given in the serious cases, that it has to be assured that he has done this thing beyond all possible doubts.
Yes, sir. Beyond reasonable doubt.
Beyond reasonable doubt. So you have to hammer that point.
Indeed, sir.
Not unfair means this means that means it's immaterial. We go to a particular judge, take adjournments. We talk of the basic principles. Right. Coming back to but I would say that you argue well. Still, we need to be a little more focused.
Yes.
This is how I understand. Coming to the recently, our colleague has asked one of the this thing, Haldwani issue. Can you tell us something about Haldwani issue?
No, sir. I'm not able to recall the issue.
Recent issue in Haldwani.
Sorry, sir.
There has been riots. There has been a lot of halla gulla. Police had to retract. Many policemen were injured.
Okay, sir. In Uttarakhand, sir?
Uttarakhand.
All right, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I recently came across the issue, sir. I think there was a drive for encroachment removal by the forces, and it led to a strong backlash from the people who were residing there in that area. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, what I think of the matter, sir, is that, sir, these encroachment drives are always prone to some disturbance, sir. However, sir, once a court decrees something, then it's the solemn job of the executive to carry out the orders, sir. As the service that I'm currently in, sir, also has a lot of anti-encroachment drives, sir. We are, in fact, also designated as estate officers, so it's routinely within the ambit of our job to enforce Public Premises Eviction Act, sir. Whenever we go on this drive, sir, we know we are going to face a lot of resistance. So we always try and ensure that we have a healthy police force, that we have issued as many warnings in the area as possible, sir, because PPE Act itself asks for a reasonable period to do away with encroachments themselves, sir. 3, sir, we always ensure that if there is an anti-encroachment drive, it would not lead to loss of life. So, for example, we always see that schools and hospitals that are in... Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, loss of life is fine. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Schools and hospitals, for example, children are not present in the vicinity. For example, roads next to the site where demolition is to take place are cleared in advance, sir. And then, sir, we take...
Anyway, it's fine. Like you come from Shonipat, you are aware of what are the issue. Do you think Haryana is facing any issue as of today, as a society? Or what are the important issues Haryana is facing now? Socially, economically, politics is the different ballgame.
Sir, I think socially, sir, I think Haryana has been facing the challenge of discrimination against women, reflected in the low sex ratios, the education attainment levels of women, and the discrimination that they face after marriages, dowry deaths, sir. I think that challenge Haryana has faced for a while, and I think there's some progress now, but it's a challenge that we need to continuously work towards dealing with, sir.
As a district magistrate, what are the 3 steps you propose to initiate for the protection of women, children, or for their growth?
Yes, sir. So once, if we look at the infanticide issue, sir, very, very strict enforcement of the PCP NDT Act, sir, which means a compulsory registration of all the health establishments in the area, compulsory registration of equipment, making a public display when someone is caught, sir, because that has proven to be a very important tool when social prestige of an individual is taken down, sir. It has proven to be a very important tool.
Should I suggest something?
Please, sir.
Like, you have workers in every village. Can every worker be assigned, any one worker from the village be assigned the task that tell us the administration as to, normally we come to know who are the ladies in who are pregnant, expecting mothers in the area. Couple of months we know it. If we can we map that? The moment we map that, at least that could be taken care of as a district magistrate, and maybe you can put some health worker that how is she doing, what facilities she may need if she is not put to all those tests, kind of thing. This is suddenly it came to my mind that this mapping could be done, I guess.
Indeed, sir. Sir, in fact, this was pretty much part of the strategy that was put in place in districts across Haryana after the Honorable Prime Minister launched the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao campaign, sir. In fact, the Gram Panchayats were the designated nodal officers who would report to the local police and eventually the district magistrate to ensure that any such networks which exist for selective abortions could be brought to light, sir. And
that may be amount to mukhbiri.
Yes, sir.
I was only saying that it's if the administration is informed that now we have a such and such female in this particular family, she's expecting a mother. Maybe administration may go to provide some help. Maybe some midwife can visit her, or maybe she could be made to visit the hospital, kind of thing. So that she's under monitoring. So this may not be little mukhbiri.
Indeed, sir. Indeed, sir. In fact, it was at the backs of steps like this vigilant district administration that we saw some momentary respite in the declining sex ratios also, sir. I think sex ratios took an uptick, I think, in the NFHS 4 and 5 data, sir. I think because of these proactive steps only, sir. And the third, sir, if I may, sir, I think one of the most important things that a district administration could do is to ensure that girls come to school, stay in schools, perform better, sir. I think this would have to be a very granular prospect, so to keep informing the families that their daughters are doing well, that they deserve to stay in school. Because once families realize the monetary benefits that come with empowered girls that they can add to family income, I think their social status will rise in the eyes of the families.
Okay. Wow.
Yogesh, as I see you've started in Bhuj.
Yes, ma'am.
How come you landed in Bhuj?
Ma'am, my father was in the army, ma'am. He retired as Naib Subedar and his last posting was in Bhuj, ma'am.
Okay, so you were there through and through, because you studied your 10th and 12th from there itself?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, 10th, 11th and 12th I studied from Bhuj, ma'am.
Okay. And you have represented your school and university in cricket, football and basketball.
Yes, ma'am.
But as we know, cricket is well known in India. There is no doubt about it. What is the issue, or what is lagging in football and basketball, because the generation isn't well versed about these two games?
Ma'am, I think there's at least in cantonments where I grew up, ma'am, there was considerable interest in both football and basketball. We had a lot of basketball courts and they were routinely occupied every evening. The same of football, ma'am. I think, ma'am, when I came outside the cantonment after class 12, I realized that the support structure after a school level suddenly had gone missing. That there were no good academies for football which would feed into the district roster or the state roster, and the same for basketball, ma'am. I was lucky to the extent
basketball probably lags far behind than comparatively to football. It's also.
Indeed, ma'am. I was lucky to an extent that I was in Chandigarh, where there were at least some football and basketball academies. But whenever we would go to other districts, we would see that there is no basketball federation at all. The National Basketball Association does not hold routine camps, at least as a football association does, ma'am. So indeed, ma'am, I think the support structure for football and basketball that should exist after school does not exist in the country as such, ma'am.
So what good or what changes you presume you can make to these being an administrative officer?
Ma'am, I think scholarships help a lot. Scholarships, not just in the tune of money, ma'am. I think financing one's trips to play interstate levels, ma'am. I think if those trips are financed, these community circles are built around basketball courts. But most importantly, ma'am, I think the district level associations that exist for these sports, ma'am, for basketball and football, because they are the ones who recruit talent, they are the ones who train talent, and they're the ones who send the talent for further sports, ma'am. I think those district level associations would have to strengthen, and as district administration, ma'am, I think would have to just be involved there. To see that routine practices take place, to see that routine tournaments take place, ma'am. At this moment, I could only think of that, ma'am.
Okay. Recently, Uttarakhand has approved of UCC. What are the characteristics of some few highlights?
Ma'am, some of the retrograde practices such as nikah halala, polygamy, and triple talaq have been completely done away with, ma'am, which is, I think, is a very positive step. Two, ma'am, there are some amendments on the succession and inheritance front. And ma'am, to be very honest, I do not quite fully understand the import of those amendments, because, ma'am, as I understood in family law course, it takes very long time to understand how inheritance and those systems work. But, ma'am, broadly, I have two observations about this, ma'am. One, the new UCC draft in Uttarakhand basically states that that it does not make the distinction between co-parcenary property and self-acquired property. Now, if it does not make that distinction, then an individual currently in possession of that property could will away the entire property, because it does not allow for a portion of the property to be kept in the co-parcenary setup. So, ma'am, there's a possibility that fathers could will away their entire property to their sons, putting women outside of the framework altogether, which is a possibility that really I'm scared of, ma'am, because I think the 2005 Amendment Act to Hindu Succession Act provided women as equal co-partners, ma'am. That, ma'am. Two, ma'am. Three, ma'am, I think the live-in relationships bit, I think, goes beyond the constitutional position on live-in relationships as of now. I think compulsory registration and consequent penalization for non-registration, I think, would violate right to privacy, would violate Hadia judgment, would violate multiple judgments.
Haven't they made it compulsory registration within 60 days?
Yes, ma'am. I think that compulsory registration and subsequent penalization, ma'am, I think would violate provisions of the Constitution, ma'am. Fourth, ma'am, I think complete exclusion of tribals from this UCC draft, I think, is an opportunity that is missed, ma'am. I think we could have had more broader engagement with the tribal community on how to make their own customs and come in line with Constitution, ma'am. I think that's a missed opportunity, ma'am. Ma'am, perhaps if I could just take 15 more seconds, ma'am.
For sure.
Ma'am, I think we could not have a UCC system based on states, ma'am. If each state starts enacting its own uniform civil code, then it would go against the fundamentals of a UCC. We need a uniform civil code that nationally, and then state-wise variations could be accommodated, not the other way around. I think that's very important to take note of.
That is your take on the same. Okay, why do you particularly want to be an IAS? I mean, you're serving well in Group A class. What draws you there?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, two reasons, ma'am. The honest to God reason one is that my department, ma'am, currently the Director General Defence Estates is undergoing a radical transformation in the sense that cantonments are about to be excised. We are devising those proposals. In fact, ma'am, I'm the liaison officer between the state of Himachal Pradesh and the department for excision of 6 cantonments in Himachal Pradesh. Now, once that process is entirely done with, as is expected, ma'am, what would happen is that our department would suddenly become overstaffed. So, ma'am, I think we are expecting DOPT to send us to other departments anyway, ma'am. That's the honest reason, ma'am. Two, ma'am, I think we do municipal governance So we deal in areas from education to sanitation to health. And I think it's a good training ground, my service right now, cantonments, ma'am. And with the district administration, the area would increase, the challenges would increase, it would provide for more opportunities for me to better myself, ma'am. I think that's the second and more important reason that I highlight, ma'am.
Okay, since you are somehow related to defense, just let me know the name of 3 service chiefs.
No, ma'am, I would not be able to recall the service chiefs' names of Air Force and Navy, ma'am.
Okay, Army?
Yes, ma'am. The gentleman's name is General Pandey, ma'am, although I cannot recall his first name.
Manoj Pandey.
Manoj
Lieutenant
Pandey,
General
yes.
Manoj
Yes,
Pandey.
ma'am.
Sir,
Yogesh, so whom do you like more, Ranveer Singh or Ranveer Kapoor?
Sir, I've never quite asked myself this question, sir.
Okay, I am asking you.
Sir, I have not watched their movies enough, sir, but I think,
Okay, which name you like the most?
so just the name, what's in the name, sir?
Choose a name.
Ranveer Singh, Ranbir Kapoor.
Sorry, sir, I think it would be unfair it would be unwise of
I'm
me
not
to
asking
judge.
you to be fair or unfair. I'm just asking you to make a choice.
But sir, unless I know the metrics of what I'm choosing,
No.
why I'm choosing,
Just whether you like the name or not, which name you would like the most?
sort of goes against all the training that I've had, sir, to choose without knowing what I'm choosing.
Sometimes you have to make difficult choices, and if you take this stand, it will be difficult to make a decision.
No, sir, difficult choices are fine, sir. I think uninformed choices I do
No.
not make, sir.
I am giving you just a limited scenario. Okay? There are 2 names. Choose one.
Sir, if I have to roll the dice on it, sir, or flip a coin on this, Ranveer Singh, sir.
Okay, fine. Good. Anyways, Haryana has fixed certain qualifications for the contestants in elections at the panchayat level. What is the qualification?
So from what I can recall, sir, one, I think they should be up to a certain, so they should be 5th standard and above, literate in 5th standard.
You are asking me or telling me?
Sir, I'm guessing, sir.
Okay. Or is it 10th standard?
I'm not sure, sir. From what I recall, it was 5th standard, sir.
Okay, fine. So, if you go to a shopkeeper, buy certain things, and then you ask the shopkeeper that please keep them with you. Okay? I'll come back and collect. And when you come back, they are misplaced. From the perspective of law, what is the responsibility of the shopkeeper?
Sir, he or she would have responsibilities under Indian Contract Act, the sections dealing with bailment, sir. So he would be the bailee in this case.
Give me an answer from the layman's perspective.
So the person in temporary occupation of a property, which is someone else's, by the consent of the person giving the property, comes into obligation to ensure that he takes care of the property, sir.
It is in a way a law of contract. No?
Yes, sir.
The moment the shopkeeper admits that I'll take care of this, so that is, if he is not able to take care of that thing, it means somewhere the law of contract is broken.
No, sir, it would mean that he has reneged on
some kind of oral contract. No?
Yes, sir. Oral contracts are enforceable in a court.
Therefore, he has to
honor the promise, sir. Yes, sir.
Isn't it?
Indeed, sir.
Fine. So, anyways, South China Sea is becoming a zone of conflict. On one hand, China says that we must follow international laws. But here, is it towing the same line?
So China's claim in the South China Sea are predominantly based on this international legal concept of historical rights, sir. That if they have exercised domain jurisdiction or if they've exercised rights over a piece of territory over many years, there might be an argument that under customary international law, they have rights over that same patch of sea or land, sir. However, sir, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in Hague has ruled decisively against China on that subject, that just by virtue of their historical claim to the 9-dash line, they do not exercise sovereignty over that region.
Okay. Now, you have interest in linguistics. How linguistics can help in understanding history or human past? Give me 1 or 2 good examples.
So it was linguistics that led initial British administrators in India and consequently scholars to make the grand connection between Indian languages and European languages. So the Proto-Indo-European language, which is supposed to be an ancestor of both Old Sanskrit and Old
They
Latin.
created a history in which they tried to protect themselves as superior than India, which is not true.
Sir, I would not know if they tried to depict
They
that,
have.
sir.
Yes, it is.
Sir, I'm not sure, sir.
For example, the theory of Aryan invasion, which has been now completely refuted, rejected. For example, white man's burden, these kind of things, that colonial mindset was there.
Sir, none of the, to my limited understanding, sir, none of the prominent linguists, including William Jones and his little cabal there, sir, none of them ever portended or argued that there was an Aryan invasion theory as such, sir. What was argued to a limited point.
Sir, Mortimer Wheeler, Gordon Childe, these people have tried to emphasize this point that Aryan invasion was one of the reasons for the decline of industrial civilization, which without any evidence as such.
So, to my limited understanding, sir, Mortimer Wheeler was not a linguist, sir. He was an archaeologist, and that to an untrained.
I never said that he was a linguist.
No, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. My question was something different. How linguistics helps in understanding past? Give me 2 examples.
Yes, sir. So, sir, historical linguistics, the field that deals with this, sir.
Have you, do you know 6 limbs of the Vedas?
Sorry, sir?
6 limbs, Vedangas.
No, sir. No, sir.
Nirukt, etymology, has something to do with linguistics. Anyways, fine, sir.
Okay, Yogesh, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.